Hi, and welcome to Studio SN. My name is Sara Naumann, and today I want to show you a technique of creating layers with pigment inks and stencils. You can see the layering effect of my pigment inks and my stencils on the background of my card here. So this light pink is kind of the background of my background, I guess you could call it, and then the purple is the foreground of my background. If that sounds confusing, never mind. I will show you exactly step by step how I've done this effect. So first let me start with this pink background, and I'm going to start with an ink pad. This is the Spiced Plum, and this is one of Clearsnap's Crafters ink pads. And what I'm going to do, working onto my craft sheet, is simply take the ink pad and squash it onto the craft sheet, like so. And while this is still wet, I'm going to take a little bit of water and spritz that in there. And I've got a brayer, a little mini brayer, and I've got some white cardstock here, so I'm just going to run my brayer through here and then onto my cardstock. So this is giving me layer 1 of 2, if you will. And just brayer this color on here, and then all of a sudden I have an instant start to my background. So let me just take a baby wipe and kind of clean this up here, and then we can move on to the second step, because I'm going to let this set aside to dry, and then I'm going to grab my stencil. Now the stencil that I'm working with is also from Colorbox, from the same people as the ink pads. This is one of their art screens, and this is the Lovely Art Screen. So that's the name of all of the hearts on here, which I thought would be really fun and appropriate. So normally what you do if you're tracing a stencil is you would get the shape of the hearts, but I actually wanted the negative of that. So rather than having the hearts be purple, I wanted them to be allowing that pink to show through. So what I'll do is put the stencil onto a piece of scrap paper. I'm going to take another ink pad, and this is the purple, and I'm going to squash it all over my stencil. This is a little bit of a messy job, so don't get a manicure the day before. You're just going to squash this all over. Pigment ink does clean up really easily though, so if you get it all over your hands, like I certainly will, don't worry about it. Okay, you really want nice thick coverage on here, so really squash that ink pad onto your stencil. And don't worry, it will clean off your stencil very easily. Okay, so while this is still wet, what you're going to do then is take that same pink piece of cardstock that you just colored, and you're going to place it right down into the inky stencil. Now you can see I'm already getting some more ink on the back of this, so rather than that, I'll just put another piece of scrap paper on here so I can really smooth this down. You might even want to brayer it again with your brayer if you want to. So then let me lift off this piece. I will lift off my second piece. And then while this is still wet, I'm going to move that aside. While this is still wet, I'm going to bring back in my original scrap paper, and I'm going to take some clear embossing powder and simply sprinkle this on. Now, this is going to give me another kind of level of texture on my card as well. I'm just going to sprinkle that on. Pigment ink also works as an embossing ink, and shake that off. And then I would go ahead and heat set this. So let me move this aside, and I'll bring back in my card, and you can see the finished results here. So as I'm wiggling it, you can see the shine of that embossing powder on there. And you know, you could skip that step if you wanted to, but I really like having that extra layer of texture, if you will, in the background. So I've got my pink, I've got my purple, and then it's been embossed, so I kind of have 3 layers to my background texture. Now once you have all of that work done on your background, you don't want to cover it all up, so I kept the rest of the card really simple and just covered my card front with this paper, and then used a little strip left over from the pink piece that we did and matted that onto like a dark purple cardstock. Now this area here, this is just purple cardstock and white cardstock. This has been scallop punched, and that's a 2.5-inch circle scallop punch that I did, and then a 1 3/4 inch white circle punch of white cardstock, and then I simply stamped on it. That stamped sentiment is from hot off the presses Heartfelt Greetings, and it says, "You're in my heart." There are also little heart accent pieces on here. So I stamped that with the purple, and then the little heart has been stamped with the spiced plum. So it's all using the very same ink pads. Then I've got a pink ribbon going around here and a little knotted bow on the accent part here. So you have a very simple all-over design, but one that really lets this background shine. So this is how you can layer pigment ink with your stencils for a really unique background. I hope you enjoyed this show today. For more ideas and inspiration, please do stop by my website at saranaumann.com. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.